I'm Doug Preston, National Director of Church Revitalization, the Dirt Roads Network. I have with me this morning Bob Gray from Hart Wesleyan Church. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Doug. Very happy to be with you today and be able to share a little bit about what's going on at Hart Wesleyan. We are in Michigan and enjoying just a wonderful time of revitalization. So thanks,
Awesome.
Doug.
Awesome. About 18 months ago, you all started this journey. And so can you just, in your own words, just kind of just share with us just an overall view of the revitalization relationship and the relationship you've had with Dirt Roads and Hart Wesleyan? Just kind of share that with us a little bit.
We were struggling. I'll just tell you, we were struggling. It was a difficult area in our ministry, our time. It was as COVID was getting really bad, and our church had already been in decline, so COVID did not help. It made it even worse. And so as I was in this cohort, and we would each bring some of our struggles to the group, I just told them, I don't know what to do. I have no idea where to go from here, what our next step should be. And so we began talking about that, and Steve actually told me about this revitalization journey that we could go on with Dirt Roads Network. And so I took that to my board and I said, I think we need to do this. Well, there were three things that I thought came out of that, the cohort process, the first 5 months. One was an emphasis on prayer. And we learned, and this really helped me too, to realize that when we approach God in prayer and we're talking about, what do I do? Then we need to go to God with an open heart and an open attitude that says, not my will, but what your will is. Amen. And too often, I'd always been praying, and we learned to pray that, let's make our plans and then ask God to bless them. And we said, no, that's not the way to start. That's what we learned, is that we start with saying, God, we have an open book, a blank sheet. You tell us what you think we ought to do and what you want us to do. And so we began to pray that and began to pray it. We had a 24-hour prayer vigil that we did during this cohort process, and just asking God to help us to refocus our vision, to get it down on paper, and you tell us, God, what you want us to do. And we made a commitment that said we will obey. We will do whatever you say, whether it's what we want to do or not. And so we began to pray that way. And it wasn't long in that process that we began to get down on paper a renewed vision. And the idea of that vision was to turn us from being inward to outward, an outward focus. So we began to put down on paper some specific steps and part of our ministry action plan. And boy, that made all the difference for me, just to be able to know what is next.
I've had the privilege of being your coach for the last year, and it's been cool for me to, from the outside, looking and watching God do some miraculous things. But it's not always been easy, has it?
I was hoping that I would be able to share a little bit about this. The revitalization relationship, this journey, is definitely not easy. And I would tell people it is not for the faint of heart. And maybe I was a little bit faint of heart when going into this, but it was not long after the implementation phase, when we started to implement the plan in September. It was not long when I began to get a lot of, not a lot, but some pushback. People saying, why do we have to make this change, or why do we have to do that? And I liked it better the way it was before. And it was just, emotionally, it was difficult on me, especially when some of my really good friends and some of our, what I thought were core leaders in our church were also pushing back. And even one or two of them were talking about leaving the church. And boy, that just really kills a pastor's heart. And you walked me through that. You helped me to realize that, wait a second, this is necessary. The changes that we believe God was asking us to make and to do, to put this plan into practice, to get our church out of that stuck place where we were in decline. And these were necessary steps. And again, to see the bigger picture, that it's not about building a big church, it's not about church growth, it's about becoming healthy and becoming outwardly focused. And so it immediately became obvious some of my people were very inwardly focused, because some of the changes, they were just preferences, things about worship and music and spending money on technology updates and a new sign that we were putting in. And so you helped me to realize that it's not about church growth, it's about health and reaching out. And if it was, if we need to make those changes, then that's what we need to do.
From a pastor's heart perspective, I understand when someone threatens to leave. I just it's hard for us not to take that personal. But the cool thing about it is, I think that if I understand right, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but no one has left.
That's correct, Doug. Nobody has left, at least not yet. I mean, it still might happen, but we are still in this process of getting healthy, leadership-wise, helping my leaders and core people to be outwardly focused. But even in this process, nobody has left, and we are very excited about that.
Satan always wants to bring threats to us, and he always wants to bring obstacles. And part of finding the mind of God and bathing a relationship in prayer is that is the foundation for God to be able to do some real healing. So just kind of walk us through just a little bit this last year. How many baptisms have you had?
Yeah, that's where it meets the road, right? That's exactly where making changes like this helps to see success. It helps when we see people get baptized. And so this past year, we've had 4 people that have been baptized, and these again are new commitments to Christ. These are new people that have accepted the Lord and gotten baptized in this past year. And so it's hard to argue with success. So just in the month of April, we have had 13 Amen. Decisions for Christ.
Praise the Lord.
And so I see all of these as fruit of this work. It has been hard. It has not been easy. And changing hearts and changing attitudes and getting healthy, it's not easy. But it has produced fruit, and we are seeing that as we go forward.
Just in kind of closing, Bob, just kind of speak to the pastor out there that is saying, we're stuck, really don't know what the next move is. What would you say to them and to encourage them just to sort of at least look into the revitalization process?
I was at the point of frustration where I thought, well, it's either do something totally different or resign, just leave the church. And I knew God was not releasing me to do that. And so I knew we had to do something. And so this revitalization journey came along at just the right time for us, when I needed to know what's the next step. And not only did we know the next step, but we had a ministry action plan that gives us a long-term outlook for our church and knowing what to do next. Not always easy, definitely not easy, but it's worth all the effort.
Thank you for being here with us today. It's been an honor walking this journey with you over the last year, and looking forward to many more years to come.
Thank you, Doug. I really appreciated your friendship and your coaching. That has really helped quite a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Dirt Roads Network is equipping pastors and church leaders to be part of a Bible-believing, life-changing force in your mission field.